welcome back. Goodness, it's been a while, hasn't it, since I last spoke to you, despite the fact that way back when I promised you a series of videos, and unfortunately for so many reasons that I won't go into now, I couldn't do that. I couldn't get that to you, but I am back. By popular demand, I'm pleased to say. Lots of lovely comments from previous viewers and previous people who've been buying via my website, Pink Alpaca website. So as a result of that, you've requested all sorts of things from me, and I've been busy throughout the previous couple of months making. So I'm going to start this week with a special project that actually I made last year, which is a lovely Christmas wreath. I filled my house with them, and I made it during the Christmas period, but actually I've used this wreath in my house throughout. I deliberately didn't make it Christmassy. So I'm going to share that project with you today. So please comment, like, subscribe, whatever you need to do, and let me know what sorts of things you would like in the future. But for now, here is an example of how to make the Pink Alpaca Christmas wreath. This wreath is made from a base, a wreath base. I use styrofoam, but you can use various other different forms for the inside. And it is then, this is wool, this is fleece. I use slither, this is actually a really fine Corriedale. Don't use anything too expensive. You don't need, really posh wool roving. This is absolutely fine. But then I then used various other yarns, and this is actually a wet felted flower. That's another tutorial. I'm not going to show that today, but I will show that in the future. So this is a wet felted flower that I used to decorate it, and then this is a purchased flower in the centre. So there's the whole range there, and this was inspired by a purchased yarn that I have had in my yarn stash for ages and wanted to use because I wanted some texture. Love the colours, and this is one of the ones that stayed up in my living room all year round because it's kind of Christmassy, but not that Christmassy really. Okay, I'll show you another one. This next one features yet again another wet felted flower, much bigger one. I love this one. I love making these, and the wet felted leaf as well. But of course you can buy anything to decorate them, and then that's a purchased rose in the middle there. Again, wrapped with a commercial yarn. This again was in my yarn stash, but behind it I have got a blend which I blended and carded myself, but it's a blend of Shetland and natural coloured wool that was then wrapped around the wreath. And let me just show you the back. I like them to look neat from the back as well, but one of the reasons I use styrofoam is because it gives the shape and it gives me something that I can wrap the fleece around. And then there's a little loop there, so I hang mine. Show that I hang mine like that, okay, but you can hang it however. I just like the loop made from the same yarn so that it then doesn't become too obvious. One thing to say is that you could use this as a table centerpiece. In the past I've had a bowl of flowers in mine and used it as a decorative piece. So a little vase of flowers there that matches the colourway, but it is quite a nice little centrepiece as well. So if you don't want to have it as a wreath all year round, then you can do what you need. This next wreath is something that I wanted for my bathroom actually, and I didn't want it to be Christmas colours at all. My bathroom is this colour, and so I dyed up some of this fleece, and here is another wet felted flower. The actual background fabric, the background fleece that I used to wrap the wreath is this, which is natural chocolate brown alpaca. It's fluffy as anything and really, really soft. And I will show you how to do this, but basically I wrapped it around really tightly, making sure that all the ends were in. And then once that was used as my base, I then used the hand spun yarn around there. The nice thing is this is a lovely way to use up any hand spuns, any yarns that you buy in yarn sales, anything that you've got lurking around and you love the colour of but haven't got a lot of, then this is a perfect way to use it up. Of course, if you don't want to use fleece, you could yarn wrap the whole wreath and cover the whole thing. just be warned, that takes a lot longer, which is why I cheat and go this way, because I like the texture of the fleece in the background, but I also love the colour that this allows me. So wrapped in alpaca, hand spun yarns wrapped around there, that gives it the pop of colour, and using the same colours again in the flower that is wet felted onto the front. So having shown you the different colours and different colourways you can go for, I will show you how to make one of these wreaths now. And bear in mind that I said that I deliberately didn't make mine Christmassy, that one is, but I didn't make the rest of them too Christmassy because I wanted ones that I could use in my home all year round. And as a result of that, then I just made some of them quite neutral. So let me demonstrate how to make one of these, and you can choose your own colourways. Here we go. So to get started on making one of these wreaths, you will need a circular shape. I like to use a flat-backed styrofoam wreath. You can use anything. The reason I like a flat back wreath is because I like the fact that it sits flat against my door or wall, but also because I'm using textured yarns on it. If I use a flat back one, then it's easy for me to glue. I've got more of a surface to glue the different yarns and ends onto. So just bear that in mind. Use whatever you've got. I've seen people use pool noodles on other videos and whatever else. This works a treat for me. It is very lightweight as well, which is one of the other reasons I like it. Now, added to that, you will need, that's your form, you will also need a glue gun. A hot glue gun I prefer, but you can use a cold one. I find a hot one grabs more quickly. And you will need some scissors. Now, bear in mind that you will be cutting yarns and textiles and whatever else, so make sure you've got a really sharp pair of fabric scissors. They're a great investment, and for goodness sake, folks, do not cut paper with them. Notice I've got mine written on. I've got several pairs of scissors in my studio, and the kids and my husband seem to steal them away to cut everything else, so I've now invested in several pairs of fabric scissors, and they're all marked, and if anyone uses them for anything else, well, you can imagine what happens. So good scissors. Also, you will need something to wrap your ring. I like using slither. In a lot of cases it's hand carded. If you've got bats, that's great. If you're a felter, you'll know exactly what I mean. This can be bought online from lots of good fabric stores, but you can also buy it in, we've got a great store in the UK called Hobbycraft, they sell it, but you could also buy it you know, Hobby Lobby and various places like that in the US. So slither, go as cheap as possible. This is this is called a felter's blend, and it's a mix of lesser quality fibers, you know, wools. Don't go and buy your best quality merino that, you know, that's used for spinning, because you really don't need it. But something nice and loose like this is great, because you are going to wrap your foam with it. So there's that. On top of that, I am a spinner, so I always have lots of hand spun yarns around the house. This is a mix of merino and alpaca. Alpaca being my fleece of choice. This is natural dark chocolate brown alpaca, and if you buy a lovely skein of anything, then, you know, make sure that you do roll it into a ball so that you can actually use it more easily. So this I've hand spun, but I've also you know, made sure that I put it into a ball as well. Just so you know, because I do get asked for this, but all of my hand spuns are available on the website. If you want anything, just let me know. So there's that. So there are your yarns. On top of that, if you wanted to add any embellishments, then I've had this for ages and have been using it for various decorative elements around the house. I've decided today that I'm going to use this on this wreath, and I'm actually going to make a bow out of that, but I'll show you how to do that next. Ribbons, various felt flowers, that is wet felted, and then on top of that, this is felt as well, and it's a flower that I've made from several layers of colours. This has been die cut, and then I've glued them all together, but I like to have lots of little embellishments around. Finally, some lovely buttons should you need them. Sometimes they're nice in the centre of a flower or just to decorate, but I like to have them around. That's everything you will need. Alright, that was quite a long introduction, so I'm going to get on with making. What I want you to realise is that I'm not going to show the next bit in real time, because of course you don't want to watch me wrapping round and round. You'll get the idea, and it's quite straightforward anyway. So we will time lapse the next bit so that you can just see me making it quite quickly, and you know, I'll just point out anything that's a bit different. So are you ready? Here we go. First thing to do, separate your roving so that you can actually wrap it around. Hands apart and a gentle pull. Don't pull there, it will not come apart. Hands apart and gently pull. Here we go. So here is the fully covered wreath, glued at the back. I try to keep it nice and flat. I try to smooth as I go. With this method, it doesn't matter too much if you get some bald spots, but try not to leave any white showing. If you're working with a dark colour. I'm working with a pale coloured fleece on top of a white styrofoam, which is fine, but if you were using black or brown or darker coloured fleece, then obviously you'd see any white showing through. Now I'm going to wrap, so again I'm going to time lapse while you see what I do. Here we go. What I've done is wrapped the outside with the hand spun, which was this one. I use the thinner areas, but I wrapped it with that. And then I couldn't decide what to use, but actually I came across this hand spun that I did quite some time ago, which is all alpaca, and it's natural shade of alpaca and then dyed slubs. I quite like the little pops of colour through there, so I went with that. What I'm going to do now is decorate it. So I'm going to make a bow out of the burlap lace and tie that together. So once again, I'm going to time lapse that so you can see me working. Here we go. Okay, so that's been fun. I really enjoy making these, just the wrapping and, sort of devising the colours as you go along, designing the colours as you go along. So what I've got now is I made the bow, as you saw. Quite difficult doing that upside down, actually, but let me just show you what we've got. So here's the bow itself, made out of this, and I used the little bit of this ribbon in the middle. I'm just going to take it off and show you that what I've done is fasten this around to make the loop, the hanging loop. Hopefully you can see that, but I'm going to tie that into a little knot. In fact, shall I do that now? Let's do that now. So here it is. All I've done is tie it round. There's a knot at the top here. Just make another double knot. We don't want it coming undone. And this is to hang your wreath on your door or wherever you want to put it. Usually I decorate these up as well. So there we go. So that's the hanging loop. Sometimes I would then decorate these little ends, but we'll worry about that later. We have now got the bow there. That's the back of it. I left the tails hanging down and I tied it again with longer tails. Okay, so there's your bow. So what I'll do now is glue gun that on. I'm putting it directly above the top of the wreath, but covering over that hanger, which actually hold the hanger in place as well. Let's just hold that on. Oops. And notice that I trimmed up the edges. I do like everything neatly done. Just hold that until it sets. Okay, these will hang down, and we should have these hanging down there as well. Okay, so hopefully that's so just a few things to trim. I'll pop that there so you can see. And I like these hanging down, but I don't like them hanging down too much, so I'm going to just cut those across, maybe there. And one other thing, I think I'm going to go for a tiny little wooden button. Just drop that back down again, just at that little join. And because I collect all sorts, I've got a little star here, a little wooden button star. So we'll just put the right way up. There we go. And just a couple of other little things. I quite like that. I might cut that a little bit shorter still. Or should I? Yeah, there. And what I'm going to do is just fasten on the end, because less is not more. More is more. There we go. Little star on the end of that one. Just give it a twist actually. And the same again on here. And that acts for two things. One, it's decorative obviously, but the other thing is that it will actually stop it fraying, which is a good thing, of course. Okay, I think I should call that done. So there you go, a nice Christmas wreath ready to go. Use whatever you've got, use the colours you've got. My fleece is quite fuzzy, so what I usually do is just go around and give it a trim. Okay, so there we are, a yarn wrapped wreath. Hope you like it. Slightly different to what I was originally planning, because I changed the yarn that I used down here, but I do like the sort of pop of colour, and it does mean that I can use it through spring as well. So there you go. Just the thing to know, so the little finishing touches that I went with in the end. So put these little stars on the end of the tails there, and also a little star, wooden star button up here, and it's now got its hanging loop as well. So hopefully you can see that little hanging loop. I will put some pictures of it hanging, so you can see the full effect. All right, thank you for joining me, Jackie from Pink Alpaca. Please take a look at my website, pinkalpaca.co.uk. Make sure you like and subscribe, and come back to see me for the 50 days of giving. I'm going to try and upload a video every day, or at least every other day, so keep checking back. But if you subscribe, then you'll always know when my next ones will be out. Also, just to say, add me any comments. Just let me know what you think. But also, if there are particular things that you'd like to see being made, then send in your requests and I'll see what I can do. The only thing to note is that I do mainly textile art, so I do lots of knitting, crochet and various other areas, other things like that, so you know, you can get a feel for what I do. Alright, it's been fun. I will see you tomorrow, and like, subscribe and comment. Jackie from Pink Alpaca signing out. Keep crafting!